So for many years now, my own children have attended Camp War Eagle. How many kids here have gone to Camp War Eagle before? I bet there's quite a few. So quite a few of you. At the end of each session at Camp War Eagle, they have a big assembly. They bring all the kids together, they invite the parents, and they give out some awards for the camp. And one of those awards they give is called the FIT Award. So any of you Camp War Eagle kids, who can tell me what FIT stands for? Annalie. First is third. F-I-T. First is third. That's what it stands for. Who can tell me what it means? All right, to let others go before you. That's right. Okay, so who should be first? Do you remember who should be first? Ophelia, who should be first? God should be first, and who should be second? Clark, yeah. Other people, and then who should be third? Who do you think's left? Yourself. You should be third. So this is what something that means, and I think that's a really neat thing. And I know some of you have even gotten that award. I've heard your names called at Camp War Eagle before. So first is third, right? That God is first, others are second, and we are third. Or another way to look at it, if you want to be first in life, if you want to be the best you can be, then you make yourself third. Today we celebrate a feast of John the Baptist, his death. And there are lots of great examples of people being fit, of putting themselves third. John the Baptist, I think, is a great example, one of the best we can find of what it means to be fit, to put first is third. So we're going to look at John's life and talk about that a bit. So even before our gospel story today, in the first chapter of John's gospel, it says this. So John the Baptist was an interesting guy. He lived out in the desert. He kind of acted pretty crazy. He got a lot of attention because of weird things that he did. And so people got really interested in who he was. And so it says this. The Jews sent priests to ask him, "Who are you?" He admitted, "I am not the Messiah, the one who is coming after me. I am not worthy to untie his sandals." So people thought John might be the Messiah, and they wanted to know that. And they came thinking he was. But he said, someone else is more important. Who's the more important person coming after John, Riley? Jesus. He knows Jesus is in the world now, and that Jesus is coming behind him. And so people are giving John this attention, but he's trying to say, no, this guy needs the attention. And even more, just a couple chapters later, John 3, John the Baptist says this, "He must increase, I must decrease." John was being fit. John knew that God was the most important thing and not himself. And so when people came to him saying, "John, you're really important," John's saying, "No, I'm not that important. The one coming after me is important. He's so important that I can't even touch his dirty feet." Right? He's putting himself third in that. You're going to have times in your life when people praise you, when people tell you you're doing awesome things, because you do awesome things. You make good grades, you do good in sports, you accomplish all kinds of great things. We recognize you for that with Panther of the Month awards and Learn, Love, and Act awards. We know you do awesome things. And so I want you to remember this example of John the Baptist to be fit. As you get praised throughout your life, because you are going to do great things, remember always that those great things come from God. You only have them because of the gifts and the talents you have given to God. And so we have to remember John the Baptist and not think we're more important than we are, because God is where our attention belongs. And then we get to today's gospel story with the death of John the Baptist. King Herod killed John the Baptist. King Herod was doing something he shouldn't be doing. He was not making the right choices in life. He was not living as he should. Okay? John recognized this. John knew you're not living right. But here's the problem. People don't like to tell the king that he's wrong. Okay? That can be really dangerous, to tell the king that he's wrong, and so people would keep their mouths shut. But John didn't keep his mouth shut. John didn't stay quiet. John realized that what the king was doing was not good. And because John was fit, John knew that God was the most important thing. And if the king is living in a way that wasn't what God wanted, that's a problem. And John thought that was more important even than his own life. Well, we've got to remember that second one too, putting others second. John also cared about Herod. John loved Herod enough that he cared about Herod's soul and wanted Herod to know God was first. And so John said what he did, told the king, this is not right. This is not putting God first. And then John died for it. Even Herod was more important than his own life to him. So what does that mean for us? You're going to have times in your life, certainly this school year, maybe even today, that you're going to see someone around you doing something that they shouldn't do. You're going to see someone being mean to someone on the playground or at the cafeteria table. And you're going to have to decide if you will be fit like John the Baptist. You're going to see people doing something they shouldn't, and you know God doesn't want us to do that. You've got to decide, is God more important than my reputation? Is this person who's being made fun of more important than my reputation? Is this person, my friend, who's maybe being mean, do I care about their soul enough to say you shouldn't do that? You're going to have times when people are going to gossip around you, talking about other people, saying things about other people, and you're going to have to decide, do I want that to happen? We think about gossip as, well, if it's true, it's okay to say it. Better way to think of it is, if that person was standing right next to you, would you still say it? If you wouldn't say it to them, you shouldn't whisper it to somebody else. And so you're going to have times when you're going to hear gossip about others. And you're going to have to realize God is more important. God doesn't want us to talk about each other that way. I care about my friend who this is being said about too much to let that happen. I care about my friend who's maybe being a little mean right now, and I want their soul to be better. I want them to know God is first. When those things happen, I want you to remember being fit, to remember that God is always first, even more than our own lives and our own reputations. That if we care about each other, we want each other to be better, and we've got to call each other on to be better. And that means that we are third. And the things that I feel like I want can come after those things. So when you're in those moments, I want you to remember John the Baptist and be fit like John the Baptist.